Listen up, because the market is moving fast. Geopolitics are impacting your portfolio right now. You need to cut through the noise. Welcome to No Cap Finance.
There's a guy, let's call him Marcus. Regular dude, works in tech, makes about $140,000 a year. Good salary, right? Like, by every measure, Marcus is doing okay. He's got a brokerage account, some index funds, a little crypto. He's doing the things they told him to do. And then one day Marcus is reading, just scrolling, you know how you do, and he stumbles onto a Senate report, a real one, published, public record. And in this report, it says that in 2021, the wealthiest 25 people in America paid an effective tax rate of 3.4%. 3.4. Marcus, making $140,000, paid 22%. He read that line 4 times. 4 times. Because it didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense, unless you know the thing I'm about to show you. And once you see it, you genuinely cannot unsee it. Stay with me, because what I'm about to walk you through, this is not a loophole. This is not illegal. This is the actual strategy, the one that has a name, the one that wealth managers whisper about in rooms you and I don't get invited to. It's called buy, borrow, die. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why nobody in a suit has ever sat you down and explained it. Okay, so first, I need you to understand one thing about how taxes actually work in this country, because nobody explains this clearly, and it makes everything else confusing. You know how when you get your paycheck, taxes are already gone, like they took it before you even saw it? That's income tax. The government taxes you on money you earn by working. Makes sense, right? You earn, they take. Fine. But here's the thing, and this is where it starts getting a little sus. The government only taxes you on money when it's what they call realized. Realized means you actually received it as cash. You sold something. You got paid. The money moved. Now, what if the money never moved? What if you own something worth, let's say, $500 million, and it just sat there, growing, getting more valuable every single year, but you never sold it, never touched it? The government cannot tax that, not $1, not 1 cent. Because in their eyes, it's not income yet. It's just an asset sitting there. This is the foundation. Hold on to this. Because this is the crack in the wall that everything else fits through. Let me tell you about a man named Peter. Not a billionaire, not yet. Just a guy who started a company in his garage in the 90s. His company grows, goes public. His shares, which he paid almost nothing for, are now worth $400 million on paper. Peter is, on paper, extraordinarily wealthy. But here's Peter's problem. He needs cash, like actual cash, to buy a house, to live, to do things. And here's what a normal person would do, what you and I would probably do. He'd sell some shares, take the cash, pay his taxes, move on. But Peter doesn't do that, because Peter learned something. He goes to his bank, not a normal bank, one of those private wealth banks you've never heard of, and he says, I want a loan. I want to borrow against my shares as collateral. The bank looks at $400 million in stock and goes, yeah, absolutely. Here's $50 million, pay us back whenever, low interest, no rush. Peter walks away with $50 million in cash, tax-free. Because a loan is not income, you borrow money, you pay it back. The IRS doesn't touch it, not a dollar. And this is where it gets crazy, because now Peter has $50 million in cash, to live, to invest, to do whatever he wants. And he still owns every single share, still getting richer as the stock grows, still paying basically nothing to the government. But here's what nobody talks about. And I need you to really hear this next part. The interest on that loan, Peter can write that off. He's paying low interest to the bank. And in many cases, that interest is tax deductible. So he's not just avoiding taxes, he's creating new deductions on top of it. I'm about to say something that's going to sound crazy, but give me 60 seconds. So we've got the buy part. You buy assets, stocks, real estate, a business, assets that grow. You don't sell them because selling triggers taxes. We've got the borrow part. You use those assets as collateral to borrow cash from a bank. The cash is not income, no taxes. You live your life. Meanwhile, the assets keep appreciating, and you just keep borrowing against the growing value. And then there's the die part. And this is the part they really don't want you to see. When Peter dies, when someone who has done this their whole life finally passes, something happens to their assets, something called a step-up in basis. Here's what that means. Peter bought those shares when they were worth basically nothing. Say he paid $2 million for stock that is now worth $400 million. The gain, the profit he never paid taxes on, that's $398 million of untaxed growth. When Peter dies, his kids inherit those shares. But here's the thing. The government resets the cost basis to the current market value, the day of inheritance. So, as far as the IRS is concerned, Peter's kids didn't inherit shares that grew from 2 million to 400 million. They inherited shares worth 400 million. Full stop. $398 million of gains. Vanished. Never taxed. Legal. Done. And then his kids do the same thing. They borrow against the 400 million. They never sell. They die. Their kids inherit. Step up in basis again. This is generational. This is infinite. This has been running for decades. And you've been paying 22% on your paycheck every 2 weeks. Okay, but wait. It gets worse. This isn't something 12 people figured out by accident. This is infrastructure. There are entire law firms, entire departments inside private banks, whose only job is to run this strategy for ultra-high net worth clients. We're talking Goldman Sachs. We're talking Morgan Stanley Private Wealth Division. We're talking advisors who won't even take your call unless you have $10 million minimum to invest. The document that proves all of this, it's public. ProPublica published the tax records. The Senate Budget Committee published their report. The information is just sitting there. Anyone can find it. Nobody does. Because who has time, right? You're busy working, paying taxes, like they designed it. And here's a number that's been living rent-free in my head. According to that Senate analysis, if the wealthiest 25 Americans had paid the same tax rate as a normal school teacher, the government would have collected over $100 billion more in a single year. $100 billion. And there's one more thing most people miss. And I'll explain this in just a second. But first I need you to understand something about why this matters to you personally. Because you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this is wild, but I'm not a billionaire, so what does this have to do with me? Everything. It has everything to do with you. So here's what the rich actually do. And here's how regular people can start using pieces of this same framework. Not the full thing, not at $400 million, but the principles, the actual logic. Step 1, and this sounds simple, but almost nobody does it right. Stop thinking about your income and start thinking about your assets. Income gets taxed immediately. Assets grow silently. Your goal, over time, is to convert your income into assets as fast as possible. Index funds, real estate, a business, something that appreciates without triggering a tax event. Step 2, learn what you can borrow against. If you own a home with equity, that equity is borrowable. Securities-backed lines of credit are available at many brokerages, not just private banks. Fidelity has one, Schwab has one, Interactive Brokers has one. You can borrow against your portfolio at low interest rates instead of selling and paying capital gains. This is not theoretical. Regular people with $200,000 in a brokerage can access this today. Step 3, and this is the one most people skip, understand the tax code around inherited assets. If you're building wealth with the intention of passing it down, the step up in basis is real, and it applies to you too. Not just billionaire, if you hold assets your whole life and your kids inherit them, their cost basis resets. This is legal. This is available. This is the same mechanic the ultra-wealthy use, just at a different scale. This one thing, just this one thing, is the difference between building generational wealth and starting from zero every single generation. So let's bring this back to Marcus, the guy from the beginning. The one who read that Senate report and read it 4 times because it didn't make sense. Marcus now understands something he didn't before. He understands that the game isn't rigged against him because he's not smart enough. It's rigged against him because nobody ever sat him down and explained the rules the other team is playing by. The strategy is called buy, borrow, die. You buy assets. You borrow against them instead of selling. You pass them on when you die. with the basis wiped clean, and your kids start the whole cycle over. No income tax, no capital gains tax, generational wealth compounding infinitely. The system didn't fail you. The system worked exactly as designed. It was designed for them, not for you. But here's the thing, and I want you to sit with this. The information is out there. It's always been out there. The difference between old money and everyone else isn't intelligence. It's not luck. It's access to the playbook. You just got the playbook. What you do with it, that part is on you. And next week, I'm going to show you the strategy that makes Buy, Borrow, Die look like Chapter 1. There's a reason the ultra-wealthy put their money in a very specific type of life insurance product that the IRS basically cannot touch. And it's not what you think, not even close. The rich don't fear death. They plan for it. And that plan, that's the next video,